Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back today for another video. This video is going to be when will the SEC East catch up to Georgia? And hold on. Let me mute this for a second. It's kind of distracting. I'm watching the Auburn versus Vanderbilt game, which I am going to stream. I want to stream that game after this video. But anyways, that's not what this is about. This is about when will the SEC East catch up to Georgia. Now, yes, I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm going to be unbiased with this. No trolling or anything like that. This is completely an unbiased and just, yes, it's from a Georgia fan's perspective, but I promise you I'm not going to, this is going to be fair as possible. I'm not doing this video because I'm a Georgia fan. I'm doing this video because Georgia, and here's just the truth. Georgia's far and away better than the rest of the SEC East. Really recently, outside of that 1 year we lost the East. I mean, we swept the East in 2017, swept the East in 18. We almost swept the East in 19, but lost to Carolina. The 1 year we lost the East, we still made New Year's Six Bowl. And then this year we win the national championship, sweep the East again. Geez. But yeah, so we're gonna do this video just on based off of stats and all that, and we're just gonna do this just because Georgia is far and away better than the SEC East, and we're gonna see when the rest of the SEC East can catch up. I mean, on the field, it's not close. Recruiting, it's not close. Development and coaching, it's not really close, especially when it comes to the coordinators and everything, because there are some good head coaches, I believe, in the SEC East, but when it comes down to the coordinators, position coaches, Georgia's just far and away better. Georgia's better head coach anyways, far and away, Kirby. But I do believe there are some good coaches in the SEC East. You say that about every single team, almost, except when a team is like 100% falling apart, like Auburn. Everybody says that every coach is just this, so you gotta. But there are some good coaches in the SEC East. All right, don't get me wrong. So we will see about that today. All right, so let's go off of the first stats. Since Kirby got to Georgia, Kirby got to Georgia in because Kirby getting to Georgia started the whole Georgia versus SEC East thing. 2016, Kirby got to Georgia. Okay, Georgia went 7-5 that year, 8-5. Alabama fans don't count their first year of Saban. I don't care if we count our first year of Kirby. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But Florida won the East that year. Tennessee had a really good team that year as well, although they screwed it up. Somehow they lost to South Carolina, Vanderbilt. They lost 4 if they're because they were ranked number 9 at some point. Lost to A&M, then got back in the top 10 versus Alabama, lost again. Because I remember they lost to A&M, then they lost and blow out the Bama and screwed up for South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Realistically, Tennessee could have made the Sugar Bowl that year, but screwed it up. They beat Florida. They won the East that year, made it to the SEC Championship, got dominated by Alabama. Okay, so really it doesn't look like anything's happening so far. Well, Georgia pulls in the number 3 recruiting class, and then they instantly start going on a roll. Georgia goes 11-1. They sweep the East, make the Natty, all that. The rest of the SEC East is down for 2017. There's not really any good team. No, none really, if I'm being honest. Not even close. The East was worse then even than it is now, so you know. Then 2018, okay, Florida and Kentucky, they come out the water. Florida was ranked into the top 10 at some point, and eventually won a New Year's Six Bowl against Michigan. Kentucky, they're ranked in the top 10 at some point, and they finished the season. Florida and Kentucky that year, but they both finished the year 10-3, if I'm not mistaken, with a bowl win. Both of them getting bowl wins. And then the rest. So it looks like it's come to a point. 2019, yeah, Florida. Georgia wins the East again. But Florida and Florida, they're really good that year. They actually win the Orange Bowl, going 11-2. Okay, now it feels like Florida's on the rise and everything, you know. So Florida's on the rise. Um, what else? Yeah, but even then, Florida was. What just happened to my TV? Oh, Amber Alert. My bad. So Florida, my TV is actually muted, but Florida, they're far. But the rest of the East, even then, was not good at all. So Florida, even Kentucky, wasn't a good team that year. So yeah, and then 2020, Florida comes out the waters this time, and they beat Georgia. They beat Georgia, and they win the East, which creates a little bit of balance. The rest of the teams in the East were not good. Georgia was far and away the second best team in the East that year. And at the end of the year, some would say looked better than Florida. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say that, make it easier and say that Florida was the better team that year to cause no arguments. I'm just saying some people's opinions that Georgia was the better team at the end of the year. I don't get into that. Florida beat us fair and square, so they are the SEC East champions. They almost beat Alabama. They don't. So yeah. And then 2021, Florida completely falls out of the water. Kentucky is a good team this year, finally coming back, but they're nothing close to Georgia. Uh, you know, yeah. So and then Georgia just walks through the East. They win it. They win the Natty that year. This isn't about that. But Florida, they fall off. They fire their coach. Uh, you know, that the one team that's actually been competing with Georgia, they're square one now. Kentucky, yeah, they were good and all that, but they had a couple of they lost. Tennessee got on the rise at the second half of that season. You know, so 2021 we saw that, and now we are in 2022. You know, all I named off over since Kirby was there is Tennessee had a good season in 2016. The rest were Florida had good seasons except for 2 years, and then Kentucky had some good seasons in there as well. But no Missouri, no South Carolina. No. Well, South Carolina they were a decent team in 2017. I don't know. No, but no South Carolina, no Vanderbilt, none of that. So we're gonna be reviewing the SEC East and all that, talking about maybe when a team can catch up with Georgia. So, from an honest perspective, I don't think it'll be 2022. Georgia pulled in the number 3 recruiting class in the country this year, although the SEC East pulled in some good classes as well. If I'm not mistaken, Missouri pulled in the number 11 class. Kentucky pulled in the number 12 class. Tennessee pulled in the number 13 class. Florida pulled in the number 16 class, which are not bad classes for Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri. Those are good class. Well, it's a bad class for Florida, but it's a good class for Tennessee for where they've been. Definitely a good class for Missouri, and a great class, best class, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the highest ranked recruiting class in Kentucky history. They pulled in, so good on them. South Carolina finished 26th. Vanderbilt, I know nobody cares about them, but they finished 32. If anybody cares, I don't know. You decide if you care or not. I think it's interesting. I don't know. Vanderbilt will be bad next year, but I'm talking about for the future. So, all right, let's look at some recruiting stats over the past recruiting stats over the past 4 years. I go off the past 4 years, just because transfer portal, that's great. I think they factor in transfer recruits, if I'm not mistaken, the recruiting classes. But the past 4 years, seniors, all that, it's, I think, the most accurate way to determine things. In the past 4 years, Georgia's had an average recruiting ranking of 2.5, which means every year they are projected to have the second and a half. I know you can't have the second and a half best class, but second and a half best class. So basically, number two. And I actually know Georgia's four classes. They were number two in 2019, number one in 2020, number four in 2021, number three in 2022. Their most recent class. Kentucky has an average recruiting ranking of 26.5, although they just pulled in their best class in program history. So we'll see what happens with that. Tennessee pulls in a average class of 15.75. Again, pulling in with the top 15 class this year. Yes, they've had a lot of those players transfer out, though, so you got to consider that as well. But, hey, good on them. Florida, 11.5. Yes, I know Dan Mullen can't recruit, all that, But Florida was still recruiting better than most of the East. Better than the rest of the East during that era. And they pulled in for what they were, they pulled in a good class this year, I got to say. So, Florida, 11.5. Missouri, average 32. Yeah, that's going to take a while to rebuild. You can't do that overnight. So, they just pulled in the 11th ranked recruiting class, so you got to trust Elijah Drinkwitz. South Carolina, 36.25. It was really higher than that, but so that's kind of an outlier. One of their classes was 79th in the country. That's the year they fired Will Muschamp. Shane Beamer just couldn't recover that class. The rest of their classes has been better than their average, though. So that average is really an outlier. If you really want to be realistic, I'd go 10 spots above that, maybe 26. I don't know, something like that. That's the class they got this year, actually. Then Vanderbilt, 47.75. There's not too much discussing with them. But they pulled in a good class for what they were, definitely. A great class this year. So, Auburn seems to be pulling away in this basketball game, by the way. I'm going to stream Baylor versus Texas Tech. So what does this mean? Okay, well, let's go to 5 stars. Georgia has 18 5-stars over the past 4 years. Okay, the rest of the SEC East has 7. 2 come from Tennessee, 2 come from Florida, 1 comes from Missouri, and 2 come from South Carolina. The SEC East signed a total of 1 5-star outside of Georgia this year. Missouri, they got the number 3 ranked player in the country, Burden or something, a wide receiver. He picked between Georgia, Missouri, and Alabama. He picked his hometown team, Missouri. So what's this all mean? Well, let's go into coaches. Kirby Smart, we already know about Kirby Smart. I don't even need to discuss him. Top 3, top 2 coach, wherever you want to put him. Yeah. In my opinion, that's not the discussion. That's not what we're discussing this video. Mark Stoops, as great as Mark Stoops is as a coach, Kentucky, are they really ever going to be a good enough program to win the East? I don't know. He just pulled in the best class in Kentucky history, though, so you never know. But I definitely think it'll be a struggle. Well, not struggle, but it will definitely be hard to win the East. Keep in mind, they're one of the 2 teams in the East who have not had a 5-star over the past 4 years. Them and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's obvious. But even Kentucky, with them winning 10 games, in 2 of those years, they won 10 games for 2019 season. They weren't horrible in before the 2020 season. They were bad before the 2021 season. And then they were good again before the 2022 season. Jeez, man. But look, they might, but it's all a matter of how much better can Kentucky's program get. Not the football team. They're literally, Mark Stoops is literally going to have to improve an entire program. Their ceiling to get there. Kentucky has never been to the SEC championship game before. They haven't, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't won the SEC since like 1951. They won the Natty that year. Or I don't, did they? I know, I don't think they will. I don't know. I forget. Sometimes I forget stuff like that. But you get the point that they haven't won the SEC in a very long time. I heard something about them winning the SEC in 1976. Oh, yeah, they did. That's right. But the point is, they haven't won the SEC East in like 45 years. Or not SEC East, but, well, they've never won the East, actually. Now that I come to think about it, you get the point. Kentucky has not ever made or won an SEC championship game, which that's been in effect since 1992. We actually had the 30th SEC title game this year between Georgia and Alabama, which Alabama won. Georgia came back, hit him back in the Natty. All right, yeah, but you get the point. So, yeah, Mark Stoops is going to have to do historic stuff for Kentucky, really, to win the East. Tennessee can they definitely have the program potential to do that. Now, Josh Heupel's a good coach in my opinion. At least that's what he's showing. I thought he almost. My biggest problem is every single year at UCF, he got worse every single year from their 13-0 season. I didn't think that was a good look, and I'm going to be honest, I said it was a bad hire. But I'm not sold on him either. One good season does not make me, that doesn't sell me on somebody. Never. Tennessee was supposed to win 4 games. He found a great offensive scheme. Some people call it a gimmicky offense, doesn't matter. It worked. And they won 7 games this year and really could have won 10. A couple things went right in a couple more games. But Tennessee, Heupel, I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's this, I don't know if he's going to be at Tennessee I'm not sold on him in the perspective of, oh, well, that's going to be their coach for years. No, I'm not sold on that yet. It takes more than that. Although he has signed a great recruiting class, hopefully without paying players this time, and he has done more with less. So we're going to see what he can do. But Tennessee, unlike Kentucky, has the potential to they have the potential to reach an SEC title. They always have. They've had the potential to win it, even though they haven't in a very long time. They have that potential. Tennessee's a good program historically. They have that advantage. So, yeah. We'll see what Heupel can do, man. And then you got Florida. Florida has Billy Napier. He pulled in a couple of good transfers this year. He got Bowman, the tight end. He stole one of our high caliber 4-stars, Wilson. Or not Wilson. He stole our safety. His name's escaping me. I've pretty much stopped paying attention to him ever since he's left Georgia. Marco Wilson. Jeez. But who is it? I don't know. But they stole a really high 4-star from us. Wasn't a 5-star, but almost 5-star. We'll see what they can do with him. And the biggest thing for Billy Napier, and this is his one criticism is that he would just, at Louisiana, he would leave talent out there. He would get great talent into Louisiana for what Louisiana was, obviously. And he just put them out on the field and just let them do their thing. If he does that at Florida, that's not going to work. We've seen plenty of SEC coaches recruit great and not coach well and have good teams, a.k.a. Jeremy Pruitt, paying players, of course. You can't do that. That's basically the opposite of Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen would just coach great. He wouldn't recruit. Billy Napier, if he's just going to recruit and not coach, So that's the rumor. That's what people say about him. Maybe he can prove us wrong. Obviously, Billy Napier. Is it a good hire? Sure, it's a good hire, but we need to see. you know. Missouri, Elijah Drinkwitz. I think Elijah Drinkwitz would be a good coach. He did have a very disappointing season this year. Honestly, I feel like that's our fault. The fans' fault. We should have never expected Missouri to win 9 games. That was an anomaly. I don't know why we did that, but he just got a great recruiting class this year. If he can use that talent, he's going to be in some good shape. Of course, Missouri. They've they were good during the Gary Pinkel years, and 2 of his last 4 years in the SEC, he won the East, and played in the SEC title game. One time competed, the other time didn't. So, but that's Gary Pinkel. Gary Pinkel is a Hall of Famer. I don't even should he be in the Hall of Fame? That's not the discussion. Point is that he was a great coach. Elijah Drinkwitz, though, he's got the talent now. That's the thing of all these coaches. All the coaches got the talent. Yes, they still need 4 recruiting classes, but they have some talent. They prove that they can recruit. The only one who hasn't proved that he can recruit yet is Shane Beamer, which it's hard to recruit at South Carolina. But even Will Muschamp got some better classes than he did. So, Ed, honestly, he's going to have to recruit better if he wants to build a good program, you know. South Carolina, they don't expect the most in the world, but they're not one of those teams. Once again, they're not okay with going 6-6 every year. That's going to get you fired even at South Carolina. You know? The 2021 class really hurt them. The 79th recruiting ranking. Those guys, you know, that class is gonna hurt them. So Shane Beamerson, but the rest of the coaches proved that they can recruit. Even Mark Stoops has proved that he can recruit. Finally, past years always thought that projection to be second, so not first. Dang, I'm getting distracted. My bad, but you get my point. And Shane Beamer's going to be our next topic. South Carolina should expect him to go 6-6 for the next couple of years, in my opinion. But the future is really when South Carolina can get better. Florida has a high ceiling, obviously. Whoever the coach is, Tennessee has a high ceiling, and then Vanderbilt. I don't expect them to do anything. They might make a ball game or two, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not. They'll probably lose all their games in the East this year, and all that. But yeah, that's honestly what I think. What is the overall conclusion of this? Well, I think Georgia's going to be the king of the East, even through the Kirby Smart era. But I do think there is some teams who can get close. If Florida and Tennessee can get it right, whether Heupel and Napier are the right guys or not. Heupel's looking good so far. Napier we haven't seen yet, besides him completely turning around Florida's recruiting class. We just need to see what he can do on the field now. So they have Florida, Tennessee. They have a good setup. Kentucky, we'll see what they can do, man. Mark Stoops is a good coach, and with the recruiting class he just pulled in, that's pretty dangerous right there. South Carolina, it's going to take some years before that can get going. Missouri, honestly, Missouri is looking very interesting for the next couple years. And then Vanderbilt, I don't expect them to do anything. But we'll see, man. Florida and Tennessee, who has the best future? Well, second in the East next year. That's probably going to be between Kentucky and Florida. I mean, South Carolina, maybe. But it's more about the future. And if it's about the future, Florida and Tennessee always have high potential. But Kentucky, man, with that class, we'll see, man. But the SEC East recruited great, even better than in past years. I mean, let's just look at it. Florida, after firing their coach, had the 79th class or something like that. Napier pulled it all the way up to. He pulled it up 55 spots. Not 55. That's 54 spots. My bad. 53. My bad. So that shows some potential right there. Missouri, their recruiting class this year is 21 spots higher than their 4-year average. Vanderbilt's class is 15 spots higher than their 4-year average. South Carolina's class was 10 spots higher than their 4-year average. Kentucky's class was 14 spots higher than their 4-year average. Georgia was doing Georgia things. Tennessee's class was 3 spots higher than their 4-year average. So going off of that, 15 spot average, 14. So we're at 29 now. 21 spots. Okay, now we're at 50. About 5 spots lower. Okay, fine. Now we're at 45. And then 3 spots higher. Now we're at 48. And then 58. 58 divided by 6. What's that? 9.5. So on average, every SEC East team outside of Georgia had a recruiting class this past year 9.5 spots higher than their 4-year average. The only one who had a lower class was Florida. And then Georgia, of course, had their... if anything, Georgia had a worse class than their 4-year average. But 3-2 isn't that much of a difference, you know. Yeah, obviously Georgia's not going to win the SEC East every year for the next 10 years. That's just not realistic. Somebody's going to get Georgia. We'll see who it is. Really, it depends on what Florida and Tennessee can do, because those are the historic programs who are looking good for the future, and Kentucky, because Kentucky is a really good coach right now. And we'll see what Shane Beamer and Drinkwitz, let's see if they can prove themselves. Drinkwitz has done his job in recruiting. Shane Beamer, I haven't seen enough on him yet, except he did more with less last year than Billy Clark. No offense to Vanderbilt once again. They pulled in a pretty decent recruiting class, so maybe they can win an SEC game in a couple of years. In fact, they might win one next year. You never know what Vanderbilt's going to do. But at the same time, it's just like, yard Vandy. But maybe they can go 5-7, 6-6 every year. Vanderbilt will take that. That's exactly what they did in the Derek Mason era. All right, it's been a long video, and I've enjoyed talking with y'all, especially giving a perspective of the rest of the SEC East. I didn't really talk about Georgia that much, and I really didn't talk about what the team, like, next, and I'm going to do a part 2 on this. Part 2 on this is going to be talking about specifically next year. The rosters, the players, and everything. We didn't get into depth of that. We got into more of recruiting, winning percentages, coaches, what they can do, program potential, all of that, I said Florida and Tennessee's program potential is through the roof. Kentucky, with what they have at coaching right now, they have a ton of potential. South Carolina, Missouri, they've won the East before. Vanderbilt, not much, But I've barely talked about Georgia this video. This is really what the rest of the SEC East has on the table. Next, we're going to be talking about 2022. In that part, we are going to talk about Georgia more. A little bit more. I didn't feel like they need to be talked about in this video. But we are going to talk about Georgia more in the next episode because Georgia, Georgia, they are a team in the SEC East next year. And because Georgia went 12-0 last year, it's always likely for when a team goes 12-0 for them to get upset by a team next year. Now, Georgia could always lose a non-con game instead, but we can preview that, I think. But I do want to wait a little bit longer as well, because it's just like, transfer portal isn't completely done yet. But I do like some spots on these teams, man. I mean, let's just, hold on, let me put this down. Let's just look at it, Georgia, I don't need to talk about them. Florida, I like what Florida's doing on offense. I really like what they're doing on defense. And what I mean by I like what they're doing on offense is that if they can set themselves up with a good quarterback and a better offensive line, Florida is good playmakers. The playmakers are not the problem for Florida. Florida is really, let's just say it. Florida is great playmakers. They just need maybe a little bit better of an offensive line. Pass blocking, at least. They got their run blockers. Can they get better pass blockers, though, you know? Uh, but they've built an agile run blocking line. If they can build some more muscle and some better pass blocking to the guys, though, that would be good for them. The quarterback position, that's the problem for them. Maybe they can pull transfer in late. I mean, who knows? But what you're going to do next year, probably run a read option offense just for that year. I mean, there's not much else you could do. Develop Anthony Richardson. You definitely got the playmakers. May improve the line a little bit, and obviously need a quarterback. Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones just going to have to do for now, though, unless you can pull in a transfer late. Tennessee, like where they're going, they have no defense. But they do have a really stylish offense, which I am excited to see next year. A gimmicky offense that can trick some teams. We'll see what they can do against Georgia next year. And Florida, I also like what they do on defense. They got to recruit some defensive guys, that's good. Then you got Kentucky. Kentucky, once again, going to be a physical offensive line and defensive line team. They're really good in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Where they struggle is they have struggled with their playmakers. They don't have good playmakers at all. Their quarterback he's decent. He's not good. If they had a better quarterback, they'd be much better. Their defense has been really good. Yes, their DBs have struggled at times, but other than that, they've been pretty good. Really physical team, which obviously gets under team skins. Missouri, their defense was horrible last year, and their offense ran through Tyler Beatty, which they lose. But we'll see what Connor Brady can do this year. They lose. I said Connor Blazelak, he's gone. He's transferring. But Brady Cook, he's going to start for them next year. He looked pretty good in the bowl game for the most part. I don't think they'll be able to establish a run game without Tyler Beatty, so they'll switch to a passing offense. The defense, hey, they recruited some decent recruiting, especially on the defense side of the ball where they're struggling. Seems like they're going to be an offensive team, but they've recruited some guys on defense. They need to get better though. South Carolina, they got some great, receivers, not great, but they got some good targets for Spencer Rattler to throw to. Definitely going to light some teams up next year. They're not going to do much in the run game. I'm not expecting their offensive line to be good at all. But they got some really good pass catchers for Spencer Rattler. And then their defense, we'll see, man. Their DBs played really well last year. They generated some pass rush as well. A little bit more than some people thought last year. The right defense is a little bit iffy, but they're not there yet. They're still developing. So just get get your front seven stronger a little bit, and they'll be really good. But you got your DBs, playmakers. Vanderbilt, they got a mobile quarterback. Vanderbilt mostly recruited on the defensive side of the ball. That's where Billy Clark is. If we're being realistic, let's talk some football about Vanderbilt. It seems like they're going to be a running team for most of their years, just defense and run game, kind of old school style. Kind of what I expected from Billy Clark, Notre Dame defensive coordinator. He wants to grind it out at Vanderbilt. Kind of like Derek Mason did a little bit, besides that 1 year. They had that one quarterback, Sherm something. I think it was Sherman. Yeah, he was good, but other than that, yeah. Pretty much named off all the teams. And then Georgia. Georgia's going to, they have quarterback problems, so you never know. That might upset them. The defense is going to be great, Georgia under Kirby. The run game is going to be great. Passing the ball is going to be iffy. Not iffy. They'll be good, but it won't be great. Which maybe if you can light Georgia up on defense and get ahead early and just like get your guys pumped up early against Georgia. Like, yes, against Alabama that's great too, but against Georgia, especially with Stetson and all that, that can really cause some trouble, which is, I'm sure, some of the flashy teams like Tennessee, South Carolina are going to try to do. Because Kentucky, yes, Kentucky's a good team, but I find it hard to believe that a team that grinds it out just like Georgia is going to beat Georgia. I think it'll take a team that has a different game plan from Georgia, at least for next year, to beat Georgia. In the future, we'll see about Kentucky. They're doing really good things with a good coach. But for next year, I find it hard to believe to run the same style as Georgia and to beat Georgia. I don't even think really it's hard. It would be Alabama couldn't even do that, at least for 2021. We'll see what they bring for the table in 2022. But if Alabama wasn't, they didn't throw the ball as much as they did, they'd be dead in the water on offense running into that Georgia defense. But they have Jahmyr Gibbs now. This isn't about Alabama. I know the run game's getting a lot better offensive. Anyways, Florida, once again, they don't have a quarterback. Good playmakers. Unless Anthony Richardson improves a lot, which I find hard to believe, they're probably not going to have much of a chance. Same thing with Missouri. Missouri's not going to have much of a chance. Vanderbilt, no. It'd take a major rebound for them to do that and beat Georgia. But we'll see. Well, I kind of talked about what they're going to do next year, but we're going to get more in depth to it next video. Other than that, though, Old National Champions, they're in the hot seat in the SEC East right now. And they're in the driver's seat for a long time. I said hot seat. You get my point. Pace, go Dogs! 1980, baby. 2021 now. No Georgia Bulldogs are coming to town. Woo! Man. All right, see y'all later. Peace.